On the subject of personality, um, I don't think that people have a tabla rasa, meaning a clear tablet when they're born. My older daughter, the very first scream out of her mama was along the line of, "Why in the hell are you people doing this to me?" And then her next brother, his cry was like, "My word, what is happening here? Why are you people doing this to me?" And so I think I maybe have mentioned that at 2 years old, when she'd try to put a shirt on and she'd get all tangled up in it, she would just scream in rage. And when he'd get all tangled up in his shirt, then he'd just come and stand in front of his mother and look at her, uh, communicating guilt and shame that she had let him get into such a situation. Well, so I don't think we are a tabla rasa. I think we are a tabla plenum, meaning that the tablet is full when we're born and we have a personality. And so then, in accord with that personality, we choose a survival strategy that is provoked by early crap that happens to us. So, my earliest memory is Halloween characters coming to the door to trick or treat, and I don't know. I might have been 4, I might have been 3, and I was terrified, so I was hiding under the table. And I can remember looking the length of the room at these trick or treaters, and they and my mother were laughing at me. And I don't think any kid likes to be laughed at. And have you noticed, dogs do not like to be laughed at? So then I moved 10 times in 9 grades of school, and as a consequence, I had to learn to be, well, I wasn't big or strong enough to win fights, so I had to disarm bullies and had to make friends quickly, or at least disarm people. So I was funny and charismatic. Okay, so you whatever your strategy was for getting along in life, to not get beat up or left out, etc., you when you come at that from fear, which I did most of my life, then my humor and charm were manipulative. They were intended to be manipulative to protect me. But when you come at your survival strategy out of love and a sense of security and plenty, then your tabla plenum serves people. It's a huge advantage. So most of the time, my charm and humor is a benefit to people. Okay, so now where the hell was I going with this? Well, look at the scenery while I try to figure out what the hell I was talking about here. Well, why don't I just tell you about the places that I lived? First, we went to Venezuela when I was 5 years old. And then when we came home from Venezuela, the house had been leased, so we couldn't move back into our house. And so I moved up to about 10th and Washington in Kennewick, and went to kindergarten at Washington grade school. Then I think we got back into the house, and then when I was 7, second grade, first grade, I had Mrs. Thacker at Hawthorne grade school. Then we went to Peru. I can't remember a dang thing about my second grade class or teacher, except that I remember one day there was I think there were some little magazines called Child Life, and it had like a coded message that if you held it up to the mirror, you could read it. So I remember standing in front of a mirror reading that thing in the classroom. Other than that, not a single memory of the second grade. But boy, was Peru a lot of fun. They had carved a road into the side of a hill which meant that they'd pushed a whole lot of broken up, crumbled dirt, soft dirt, over the side of the hill. So we would get on the inside of that road and run like hell and then jump just as far as we could out into and then down onto that soft dirt. Boy, that was fun. And then they were building a swimming pool, and there were all these really pretty colored wires sticking up out of the ground. Now, as an adult, I'm pretty sure what those were wires to blasting caps that were probably connected to dynamite. But we just pulled all those wires up and took all those very pretty wires and braided them, did things fun with them. Oh God, there's so many ways in which I should have killed myself, and I don't know. God must have preserved me for some higher purpose. To be Natalie's dad, what else could it be? And there was an enormous pile of bricks, not a pile, a stack of bricks for construction of more dormitories and apartments if needed. And so with our little bitty fingers, we would get into the middle of the brick pile and pull up a brick, and then we could pull up more bricks, and pretty soon we'd made little caves and tunnels down inside this brick pile. God, can you imagine? Why am I not a pancake in a brick pile in Peru? And I remember a particular rock formation that had like a hole through it. So a couple of years ago, my boy and I were going to go down to Peru and see if we couldn't get into Toquipala, but apparently they are very worried about union organizers getting into the mine, so you really have to get permission to get in, so it wasn't worth gambling on a long drive in the desert down to Toquipala and find out we couldn't get in. And I remember the little town of Tacna, and my brother and I would get up on the roof of the hotel and throw peppers down. There were peppers drying on the roof, and we'd throw them at pedestrians. There was a fox chained in the garden, and so my brother and I would kick at the fox, and he'd bite our feet. And so we had these perfectly new skookum boots that our dad had bought us, and the fox chewed them all to hell. So let's see, then the construction project, it was a copper mine. The construction phase was coming to an end, and they were offering